Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 4 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Australia, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. It was quite a dramatic one, and it's good to see that we are clearly proving ourselves as a World Championship threat as well. The gap between ourselves and Charles Leclerc, just 4 points in it at the top of the table. We are absolutely dominating in the constructors standings though at the moment. In fact, both Charles and I individually would still be right up there with Red Bull in the constructors. Probably because we're fighting Verstappen, but Sergio Perez is a little bit useless in that second Red Bull car. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 140,000 subscribers now on the channel as well. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. If you watched the My Team video yesterday, obviously, basically every series I'm doing seems to have landed on Japan. It didn't go very well, so I'm going to try and learn from those mistakes ready for this series, and hopefully we can walk away with a big result.
Konnichiwa and welcome to a track loved by the drivers and fans alike. A place where so many champions have been crowned. Let's get practice started then here in Japan.
Well, it was only when I had a quick look actually back through our previous results. If you include the Qatar Sprint, we've had 7 podiums in a row between the end of last season and the start of this one. So 3 podiums, obviously 4 podiums technically for Haas, and 3 podiums to kickstart the year with Ferrari. So we've got a lot of trophies in our cabinet now as well, which is always quite nice. But yeah, like I said, Japan is just not a circuit where I've had much luck inside F124. The AI are very, very good here, so we might have our work cut out this weekend. I must admit, I do like it when you get those weekends as well. We've got a specialist target where we need to try and get 2 purple scores. Obviously, R&D still is fairly irrelevant still in this series, so it is nice that obviously you kind of get those extra little bits of motivation to get more challenges done. I think it has been a welcome addition inside F124, so try and save some fuel up towards the line. Not quite enough. Well, I did have to go back out and just do a second run then on that first practice program, but you can see on the qualifying sim, been a little bit all over the show on this lap as we make our way through the Casio Triangle. Hopefully we're just going to be able to lock out that purple score, which we will. I'll see you guys for qualifying.
This is a circuit where sometimes you see something truly exceptional behind the wheel. We've seen it from Vettel, we've seen it from Verstappen. It is a remarkable place to watch a car at speed. Welcome to Suzuka. We're qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Well, Oscar Piastri's gotten out a bit of a shocker here early on. Out in Q1, only lines up P19 on the grid, so wouldn't be surprised if we see the McLaren man take some penalties ready for the Grand Prix, but heading immediately into Q2. We're going to be looking for either mid or low 27s here. Of course, Ferrari, we have taken all 3 pole positions so far this season. Maybe we can try and make it 4th today for the team and our 3rd in a row. We've had the better of Charles Leclerc recently, but will that continue? I know I mentioned it back in Jeddah. This car just has such an eagerness to turn in for a corner. I mean, that first Egner, completely flat, foot to the floor. It's not really a corner anymore. You're just setting yourself up for the second part. Purple through that first sector. This thing's got a lot of working aerodynamic through the S's as well. Battery management is something we're going to have to focus on, though, when we move into the GP. Obviously, there's not that many big braking zones around this lap, and it does mean saving up charge can be quite difficult to do. We're pretty much a second up on Pierre Gasly, who is just outside the top 10 at the moment. He's done a 28.8 there, as plenty occurred through the entry of the Casio Triangle. Foot to the floor, power down towards the line. It is going to be a 27.5. We go just under 2/10 clear of Verstappen. And there we go, final results at the end of Q2. Next to nothing between Verstappen and Charles Leclerc just behind me. We have got a couple of extra tenths, though, in the back pocket, as once again, Carlos Sainz in that V-carb making it into Q3. It's pretty much always 9 of the same 10 drivers and a V-carb car. Every single time. Well, we do get 2 goes at this as we head into Q3, but what worries me is often, yeah, this track, my qualifying pace is better than our race pace there. Little snap of oversteer as we try and put the power down at the final corner. Yeah, this first lap, though, is going to serve as hopefully a bit of a banker. If we can get as close to that 27.5 as possible, That would be quite nice as we chuck the car into turn 1. I mean, it just wants to find grip. You can feel it underneath you, just digging into the tarmac. Obviously, that ground effect as well, working very, very well. A little bit out of shape through the S's. You just see one of them will compromise the next even more, and it just gets worse and worse by the time you make it out through the top. Oh, I don't think I used my battery as effectively this lap. We need to use it down this straight in towards 130R. Because the speed is really, really useful. Only 4 tenths up on Lance Stroll, who admittedly is on a 28.2. Again, you're basically aiming for those bollards on the inside. It's pointless. That poor Marshall, who's having to repost them every single time out of the final corner. We still do a 27.5 again, but Leclerc now is into the 27.4s. Well, the team reckon there is pace in the car then for a 1 minute 26 here. I'm not convinced we're quite going to get to that level, but I would certainly like to try and push close to it. It's everybody else on their last-ditch run as well. I reckon there's easily another 2 or 3 tenths in the car. But it does depend on what else Charles Leclerc can find as well. Again, just sacrificing a little bit more battery on the run down to turn 1. Just got to try and keep the car in the green. But we know if we get it composed through this first few corners, then the lap is on 6th gear through the first couple of S's, then downshift into 5th just to make sure you get the rotation as each one tightens up a little bit more than the last. Oh, a little bit of a compromise line there at the top, but nothing a little bit of battery can help out with. Down into the first Degner, completely flat through there. Oh, second one though, just not quite carrying the speed we needed. Charles Leclerc, 27.1. That is a monstrous improvement by our teammate, and that has thrown down the gauntlet then as Verstappen is going to split the 2 Ferrari cars as well. We are only 2 tenths up at the moment, so I'm not convinced that we're going to be able to get pole here, but surely it is going to be another Ferrari front row. Will we be able to lock it out though, as down through Spoon we go. Oh, a little bit wide there and not able to get the nose tipped in through the second part. I'm well aware of that, Mark. We're already talking about it. It's trying to use the battery down in towards the final corner. Definitely did better with the management that time round. Through 130R, not really ever a corner anymore. But can we split that Red Bull and our teammate there? Missed the apex through the first part of the Casio chicane. Get it nice and tidy though on the exit. Shortest run back towards the line. 3 tenths up. 27.3. I think we stay third. Well, there we go. We do end up making it a Ferrari front row lockout here for the second weekend of the year. But Max Verstappen less than a tenth behind us as well there. But once again, your top 3 in the championship, we genuinely could be in for an absolute cracker of a year here. 2 tenths between us, and then 4 tenths back to George Russell in P4 ahead of Lando Norris. But yeah, Charles Leclerc set the gauntlet this weekend. Could he be our first repeat winner of the year?
As of 2022, 12 champions have been crowned at the Japanese Grand Prix. Who will be tasting glory today at the flag? The lights go out in a few moments' time. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Mr. Monaco completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Stroll, Sainz, Perez, Hamilton, Gasly, Tsunoda, Albon, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Behrman, Joe, Oscar Piastri, Vesti, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Well, I've got to admit, it is slightly awkward. Maybe I need to change my name. The fact, obviously, we're teammates with the Monegasque driver Charles Leclerc, and I'm still calling myself Mr. Monaco inside this game. I reckon what we should do is if we win Monaco, we can keep the name. If we don't win Monaco, then we'll change it and Charles can stay as Mr. Monaco there. But yes, we prepare ourselves for this Grand Prix, though. I'm tempted to take a big gamble here. I know that the soft tyres actually can go a little bit longer than the team reckon they can. Obviously, we can go to hards to the end of the afternoon if needed, and maybe then undercut the rest of the field. I mean, it worked for us last weekend, that aggressive soft compound strategy towards the end of the afternoon. Admittedly, only just. We were hanging on for dear life on the final lap ahead of Verstappen and our teammate there. But it'll provide us some extra grip down in towards turn 1. Overtaking here is not too easy either, so it'll be really, really important. Let's do this thing, though. It's time for the Japanese Grand Prix. It looks like we have split the strategy. It is 5 red lights. And a mighty long hole, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go. They're annoyingly. Verstappen's done a really good job. We'll try to have a look down the outside, ready for turn 1. Charles Leclerc just covers me off there, clearly a little bit nervous as we make our way in towards the first corner. Only 4 points in it, in the lead of the championship right now. I mean, Ferrari, this early on, you can't try to call status, can you, within the team? But it would be interesting to see whether we hear about it a little bit later on in the campaign there, but pretty clean and tidy through the first couple of corners. I guess that is one of the downsides of obviously now having a front-running car that we can obviously fight for World Championships with. It does mean starts generally seem to be a little less dramatic unless we end up with a bad qualifying, but so far this year we are yet to qualify anything lower than 4th place, and that was only back in Bahrain when I was still struggling with the rear locking there. We have survived the start though. It is going to be really, really important early on just to manage these tyres. They do have 1 lap of qualifying anger put through them, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it means they should be worn in nicely and up to temperature. Well, the thing I absolutely have to drill into my head here is just how important it is to make sure that you balance out the battery usage early on. Yes, we need to stay in the DRS range of Charles Leclerc as well, but if you go down to sort of 30-40% battery too early, you aren't really going to recover it, or it's going to take a long old while. I do still genuinely think the AI have slightly more battery usage around this circuit than I get access to. You can see, yeah, we dropped 8/10 behind, half a charge of battery. Leclerc, though, definitely struggling a little bit more top end. We've been fast through this final sector all weekend, so I think we're running slightly less downforce. Well, I was thinking, ideally, we need to try and get past Charles early on.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that's actually what's happening between ourselves and Max Verstappen at the moment. But yeah, I think we can hang with Charles, but I don't think I can make a move on him early on. Tyre strategy might be really, really critical here. Is it going to be worth undercutting and taking the safe option on the hards? Or is it going to be worth trying to make sure we definitely get track position if we box over to mediums? Well, we saw this as well back in Bahrain, but already just starting to struggle a little bit with tyre temperature here. Max Verstappen trying to look down my outside in towards 130R. Surely he's not going to be able to make that happen. No, he doesn't. We have to give him a little bit of a squeeze out on the exit. I guess now we got to try and play the number 2 role a little bit and give Charles a bit more breathing room ahead of the Red Bull. But I think Verstappen is probably about to pounce on me as we make our way back down towards someone there. DRS for the Red Bull driver. And okay, losing the 1 spot, but I don't really want to lose more than that. It's down the inside goes Verstappen. Kind of sits on the apex there. We have to give him more room than I wanted. Is George Russell hounding me?
Place back.
Come on, we got to stick with him. Maybe this gamble not working so well early on. Well, that's not good either then. Only on lap 6, tyre warning light has already flashed up. So I think we're definitely going to be switching over to a set of hard tyres for the rest of this race. Really did think these softs would be able to go a little bit longer. We saw it in the My Team career mode. Red Bull were able to take, I think it was 9 and 10 laps. We can't though. I don't want to box this lap, but we might have to come in at the end of lap 7 as already now dropping out the DRS range to Verstappen. I guess the important thing is obviously we might be able to undercut. Well, I guess the good thing is if you have a look on the mini-map, one of those Alpines is causing an almighty train a little bit further back, so even if it ended up being, you know, kind of a realistic worst case scenario, we'd only drop down to about 5th or 6th here once the AI have all pit. I mean, we can't really afford to go much longer. 75% wear on those fronts already. So yeah, we're going to peel into the pits at the end of this lap. Oh, we got yellow flags out. I think George Russell behind me's made a little bit of a mistake as we try to get ourselves into the pit lane.
Okay, don't worry about
Just about got it stopped.
Focus on this pit stop.
Yeah, I really don't want to pick up any more 10-second time penalties early on this year. As come on, Ferrari.
Now, come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Well, I guess that only really means now we're vulnerable to Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso on the overcut. Yeah, we'll wait and see what the pace is like over the next few laps.
Stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
Kind of hoping we close in on Daniel Ricciardo, but not too much, weirdly now. I think it's about 5 seconds to Charles in the lead, so that's about a second a lap we need to gain on him. And, of course, we're going to be on worse tyres for the rest of the race. Our first flying lap then under our belt. We know Leclerc's probably setting 31s. We've just done a 30.4 there, and we've taken over 2 seconds out of Danny Rick. So I think we'll probably be with him before he dives into the pit lane. The AI do like to extend the medium stint here quite far. But at least, at the very least, I want to be back ahead of Verstappen. If we could be close to Leclerc, though, that would be fantastic. But I'm happy that I did give him breathing room.
Go. I'm setting you a new target. Push, push.
I've got to make one overtake in the next 4 laps. Hopefully that's doable. Oh, we've got more yellows. We've got more yellow flags out as the other Mercedes. I think that might have been Lewis Hamilton making a bit of a mistake as well. So Mercedes really in the wars down at that final chicane. I mean, we've seen McLaren come to blows there before as well, but Mercedes seem to be the ones in trouble this weekend. Well, Fred Vesti, I don't believe he's out-qualified Zhou Guanyu at any point so far this year, but he is ahead of him so far in this race. I was kind of hoping we close up to these guys at a bit of a better point on the lap, but I guess you've got to take the rough with the smooth still, and now it's time to try and get my overtaking hat on. Haven't had to make that many moves so far this year, rather weirdly. It has been a lot more about strategy. I guess you could argue, yeah, the final 10 laps last weekend at Australia. Let's try and have a look around the outside of one of Australia's finest Formula 1 talents. Maybe not as good as Oscar Piastri nowadays, but he still has at least a few career Grand Prix wins. It's down in towards 130R. Are we going to see the AI blend their throttles slightly? Yes, we will. Down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. We'll just try and be very, very measured in the overtake.
Hit that target. That sets us up nicely for the rest of this race.
I feel like Ferrari might be on the phone down to kick Sauber, sort of gain, get on, get out of the way, if possible. Zhou Guanyu is going to try and close in on Fred Vesti. Not going to be able to get close enough, though, down towards that first corner, and you can just see how much less straight line speed they have over me, and how much less cornering ability as well. But of course, yeah, I believe down at Kick Sauber it was one Dane replacing another, wasn't it? Kevin Magnussen out, Fred Vesti in, I believe. Yeah, Fred Vesti is Danish, isn't he? I don't want to come across as a moron in this series. There's a big aggressive dive bomb there on Formula 1's newest rookie. Try and put the power down on the exit of the corner. It was a little bit aggressive, but you've got to put these new kids in their place.
Gap to your teammate ahead, 24.6 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in first. And the time last lap, 1:31.2.
Okay, so yeah, we're not taking as much out of Charles as I thought we would be then. Those medium tyres hanging on pretty well. Esteban Ocon first went into the pits.
2.5 seconds.
Lewis Hamilton as well also peeling in, so we're starting to see AI making their stops. But yeah, we're less than a second a lap faster than Charlie. There we go, Leclerc in, Max Verstappen in. I believe we're probably going to see most of our top runners peeling into the pit lane then. Yep, Lando Norris, and I believe Fernando Alonso is going to stay out because he's Fernando Alonso, and that's always what he's going to do. Was Ollie Behrman desperately trying to defend from the McLaren car in front. Could have done potentially with the DRS there, had I thought about it, but where are we going to be out relative to our teammate then? Even if we both end up in traffic here, it's actually not too bad, as there is Charles Leclerc. We are going to undercut him, so that was a little bit unexpected. Ahead of our teammate then in this Grand Prix. So we are into the net lead, but how long are we going to be able to hang on to it for? It's really, really important then that we try and put some cars between us and Charles, even if it is just for a very, very brief period here, as Oscar Piastri, yeah, weekend to forget so far in Japan. Down the inside we'll go. Careful not to run into the back of Ollie Behrman. Of course, he could be after my seat in the not too distant future either. It was very weird when I was watching the grid rundown.
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
Because, of course, the game doesn't factor in the fact that obviously we've both got the same 3-letter initials. We'll just sit behind him. We'll try and make sure that we sit behind Behrman, then down in towards the DRS window, and then we might try and get a run on him through the exit of 130R. They're closing in on the Williams. Down the inside we'll go. Second time we've done that in this Grand Prix there, and we'll just chop to the apex on the exit. Maybe trip him up, which in turn can trip Piastri and our teammate up as well.
7.0 seconds.
That Stroll doing seemingly quite well in this Grand Prix, as Carlos Sainz now leading the way at the front of the field. Sure, he'd love a red flag right about now, but we are on a very different strategy to Charles Leclerc at the moment. I'm not sure I'm going to have much say on whether we try and keep him at bay. I'm willing to let him by there, because of course it means we can obviously claim the DRS, which we just about will. Side by side into the Casio triangle. Oh, a big rear locking moment. Haven't dealt with too many of those in recent weeks, but Charles Leclerc then back through and up into the lead of the Grand Prix. The other one we've got to be careful of course, is that we don't let Verstappen get back in this fight, as new fast lap by the Dutchman here. You can see how much we gain in on our teammate, but 12 laps to go. We might just have to hold station. How many times have we seen it on this game? The Max Verstappen struggles a little bit in the first half of Grand Prix, and then once you get over into the second leg, he just seems to absolutely find more pace in that Red Bull. He's 2.6 seconds back at the moment. I mean, if Ferrari were thinking strategically, they would tell Charles just to make sure I stay in the range to hopefully prevent the Dutchman from getting too close. At 2/3 distance then, we have unfortunately lost the DRS range to Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen, though, another 1.7 seconds further back. Based on recent results, this will actually be quite an undramatic finish. Top 3 cars covered by more than half a second. Have had a couple of real belters at the start of the year, but unfortunately, yeah, we tried a bit of an odd strategy today. Doesn't look like it's going to pay dividends for us. I would still happily take a safety car late on, because we could box over to mediums and try to push. Well, it is time to get my defending shoes on. Max Verstappen now right underneath us. We're going to try and make sure that he gives me the DRS here once again. Red Bull man trying to look around the outside down towards 130R. How often have we seen the Red Bull really have the legs on us this year? As just about make sure that we were behind. Try and tuck back into the chicane there. The Dutchman will really try and position his car. Oh, a bit of oversteer for the pair of us, so out of the final corner, but we've utilised that really well. And now we should be able to try and storm back past him. We have got one issue, though. Fuel. We are now under on fuel. So in these final 10 laps as well, not only are we going to have to try and defend from Verstappen, who immediately is going to try and come fighting back, we are going to have to try and manage the fuel as well. So now we've really got to hold on track position and just save a little bit through the S's. Well, I guess luckily where this circuit is quite old school, it does mean you can save plenty of fuel throughout the first half of the lap, and there's not really anywhere that the AI can go. Unfortunately, we are boxing everybody up, though, as Lando Norris now has a look down the inside of Verstappen at 130R. So the McLaren driver up for potentially their first podium of the year. I mean, it's a tall order. We've got to get the elbows out, but we've got to make sure we do it fairly. As Verstappen into the pits. Why is Verstappen pit? What's gone on there? Red Bull, I can only assume he made contact with Lando Norris. As here goes the McLaren man down our inside. Oh, I've got to be really, really careful of that. But, yeah, McLaren, we haven't really seen race-winning pace from them like we predicted back in pre-season. But Lando Norris up until the podium today. Well, riding on board then with Max Verstappen here as we make our way down the back straight. Let's wait and see if there is any contact between him and Lando Norris. You can see the McLaren driver lines up the move up the inside. There was no contact there. I have got no idea why Max Verstappen has needed to pit in this Grand Prix. Can definitely see he's missing an end plate there, but I've had a look back through. There's no other contact that's made. But Verstappen, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's the replay not showing it up or what, but Verstappen in, and his race is basically over. Well, McLaren, yeah, definitely still lacking some of the out-and-out speed that Red Bull and Ferrari have got, but we do stay in the range of Lando Norris.
We need to get to the end of the race on these tyres.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to get close enough to him, though, down at turn 1. We'll have a look around the outside. No, Lando gets the elbows out. And I think, unfortunately, that might be that fight done and dusted. We've still got to try and save fuel towards the end of the race, and now we haven't got enough battery. Well, every lap we can still stay in the DRS range of Lando Norris is certainly very useful. Tempted just to try and hang on as long as we can. As well, we've got yellows out for someone. Not too sure who that is at the moment. I think it's Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton out of the Grand Prix for Mercedes, so heartbreak for our fellow Brit late on in the campaign. I guess it's pretty good for us, because of course now it means we've got even more of a gap back to Lance Stroll, who's suddenly up to P4. Why is he suddenly cooking whenever I come to Japan? Well, Ferrari with 8 podiums on the bounce then to kickstart the year, if we can claw this home inside the final few laps. But yeah, Lando Norris, I think he was hoping that we just wouldn't be able to apply pressure to him. That has not been the case here late on.
7.8 seconds.
We've actually been able to hang on to him quite nicely here with just a few more laps to go. It's just about trying to learn where we can save enough battery to really go for it. And then obviously deal with the fuel. We're not losing much more each lap, so it might be a kind of last lap we can try and save it all back. I think this might have to be our opportunity this time round. We're a couple of tenths closer to Lando Norris as we make our way down the back straight. Obviously, we've just got to make sure we're inside that DRS detection and that we save up enough battery for 2-1. See there, yep, 2 laps worth of fuel left in the car as we chuck it over the curb through the Casio triangle. Within half a second now, Lando, as we make our way out of the final turn. We've just got to drain the battery back down towards turn 1 and try to get a run on him here, which I think we just about will. Lando Norris desperate to try and defend it. Give me a big squeeze on the outside. We will return the favour through turn 1, but we get out on the curbs. Oh, Lando Norris immediately invited straight back through. And we're going to have to try and wait to go for it again. How is the fuel situation looking? We're still 0.1 lap under. And with one more lap to go, then Lando Norris is definitely struggling in that McLaren. I don't know whether his tyres are a bit cooked or what's going on, but we're able to hang even closer to it. We know that gap needs to be less than half a second on the exit of the Casio Triangle, and then we can really just try and fuel save around the rest of the lap there, closing in. You can see the Darktrace logos on the back of that car. Could not tell you what a Darktrace is, but I guess it's some weird shady company that sponsors Formula 1 teams there.
Well there, nice one.
Come on, we got to get the run. We got to get the run to the outside again. Lando Norris, it didn't work last time.
And let's bring it home.
But this time around it will, though. We get the car slowed down into turn 1. We don't go on those curbs on the outside. And now, it is Operation Save Fuel. Ready for the final few corners of the lap. I'm expecting us to run out before we get back round to the start-finish line. But we know that Lando can't make any moves happen through here. Lifting and coasting as best as we can. It's going the wrong way. How can I get it going the right way at the very least there? Is really try and lift off. You've got to try and just find that balance. Oh, that's not the balance we needed. Just running ever so slightly wide there. We'll give him the outside line though into the hairpin. Just make sure we keep the nose up the inside once again and try to put the power down on the exit of the corner. But Lando Norris finds the traction. We've got to try and get back down the inside, though, before Spoon. Oh, on the grass we go. What on earth is this late on in the day? I was not expecting this to be as a dramatic finish as it's going to be. We'll try and force him out there, give him the room. Lando Norris not wanting to back out of it.
One lap of fuel left now. The tank's pretty much empty.
And on the exit of Spoon, we are basically just waiting for when the engine is going to go into low fuel mode. There it goes. But we'll just tuck back in front of him again. Now we're going to start hearing the throttle clipping out as Lando Norris goes back around the outside. We try and keep it there. I don't think we're going to be able to keep it like that, though, unless we can switch him. Nope, it is all over. Drain the battery on the run towards the line. Will we even stay ahead of Lance Stroll? Surely. No, we can't. Stroll gets a podium. It is P4.
Yes, great drive, great drive. Everyone here is really happy with that performance. Well done, mate.
What a performance! He's left the field behind. Charles Leclerc wins it.
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc takes his second win of the year to become our first repeat winner of the season. And luckily for us, Lance Stroll isn't classified. I don't know why he isn't classified. He was a lap down. Eh? What happened to Stroll? Come the end of that one. That is utterly bizarre for the Canadian there. So, well, I guess it's good for us because he doesn't get that first Formula 1 podium. Where did he lose a lap? I can't see it anywhere, so, yeah, well, that's just a bizarre glitch, isn't it, that it's cost Lance Stroll. But for me, though, it does mean we keep our podium streak alive so far this season, which I guess we could be pretty happy with as well there. Stroll is robbed. I never thought I'd say that on the Formula 1 game. Lando Norris, though, becomes our third separate team to score a podium. Sorry, our fourth separate team, even, to score a podium this year with a beautifully driven P2 in the end, despite how nip and tuck things got between us come the checkered flag there. Perez in fourth ahead of Russell, Sainz, Tsunoda, Gasly, Albon, and Fernando Alonso there. So Verstappen on that weird two-stop strategy really did get screwed over in the end. Only P16 for the Dutchman. That means in terms of the championship, Charles Leclerc now with a 14-point lead over myself. The gap to Max, though, opens up to 43 points as Oscar Piastri, another driver who failed to score this weekend. And Stroll, well, that could have been useful for him. He would have been all the way up with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell in those Mercedes. Ferrari still continue to dominate the Constructors' Championship. Charles Leclerc will be leading it by himself. I'd be 3 points away from leading it myself. So we have got more than double the points of Red Bull after the opening 4 races of the campaign there. Kick Sauber now the only team yet to score so far this season. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns for its first sprint weekend of the campaign. We'll be back ready in Shanghai.